We are moving to the chapter 11, that is exception handling. Okay, that is exception handling. This is also very important topic. You will get a lot of questions from this chapter as a 2 marks as well as a 8 marks questions, 6 marks questions. Okay, already we are familiar with exceptions, right? What is an exception? Exception means identifying the errors in your programs, right? Till from for your first BCA to final BCA, you are learning two types of an exception. One is a runtime exception and another one is a compile time exception, right? Runtime errors, compile time errors. So you have to give more attention on this. Let us see the topics. Managing errors and exception. Now you will identify the difference between errors and exceptions. Okay, it is common to make mistakes at the time of developing and typing the program. Okay, so we will make the mistakes at the time of developing the programs and typing the programs. Unexpected errorness may be obtained because of mistakes in the program. Sometimes due to our mistakes, human-made mistakes, it consists of errors in our programs, right? The error may terminate the execution of the program itself. Hence, that error causes the closing of your programs. Now, we will see how these errors are categorized. Errors may be broadly classified into two categories. One is runtime errors and another one is compile time errors. Runtime errors means logical errors. Compile time errors means syntactical errors. Okay, we will see first compile time errors. All syntax errors will be detected and displayed by the Java compiler, and therefore these errors are known as compile time errors. So all the syntactical errors, whenever you are compiling your program, if it is displayed, then it is called as syntactical errors. These are the compile time errors. For understanding this better, we have created one simple program. You just observe here, class error. What is the name of the class? Error. In this, I am defining the main method, public static void main string args, right? And main method, I am displaying one output, system.out.println hello Java, but here it has missed semicolon, right? If a semicolon is missed, then it will show an error. Okay, expected, it will show it as an expected in this line. Okay, now we will see what are the most compile time errors. Most of the compile time errors are due to typing mistakes. It is because of our mistakes. Okay, typographically errors are hard to find, so it is difficulty to identify the errors. We may have to check the code word by word or even character by character. Sometimes we have to check the errors word by word or even character by character. The most common problems of compile time errors are, you just observe here, missing semicolons. So in the last program we have seen that is a missing semicolon, missing or mismatch of brackets in classes and methods. So sometimes we are opening the open curly brace and we forget to close it, or we have maintained a less number of closing brackets in your classes as well as in your methods. Okay, if you are writing the methods, we are opening the opening curly brace and we are forgetting that closing curly brace. In classes also the same thing. And third point, misspelling the identifiers and keywords. So you have declared the variable as ABC as a capitals, while processing, if you made it as a small, then it is a mistaken. Suppose you have declared the integer variable, while processing, if you make it as a double, then it is a misspelling of identifiers and keywords. So for not keywords, for example double, if you observe the spelling of a double, double, right? If you make it as a doubel, then it is a misspelling of keyword. Okay, missing double quotes in string. In string, whenever you are assigning the value to a string, then if you made a mistake within a double quotations, if you missed any one of a double quotation, it will give as a compile time error. Use of undeclared variables. You are processing your data at that time. If you have not specified particular variables. If you have not declared variables, then it will causes an error, right? Incompatible types in assignments or initializations. Sometimes incompatible types, you have declared the variable and you are storing some other variable, then it is not possible. Okay, as you know, type conversions, right? Type compatibilities, losses of data, and bad references to object. So you have created the reference objects, and if you try to access with the bad references, then it is also gives compile time errors. Use of single equal to in place of double equal to operators and so on. So if you want to compare the program or compare the code at that place, if you want to use the double equal to symbol, if you use a single symbol, then it will show as in a compile time errors. So these are the possibles of various kinds of errors appear in your programs. Okay, now onwards you are going to become a developers, you have to be very cautious these kinds of errors. Now we will see runtime errors. So compile time errors you can able to identify at the compilation time, but runtime errors you are unable to identify. You can only identify after running your program. Okay, if you are getting a mismatched output or wrong output, then at that time only you are identifying your runtime errors. Okay, sometimes a program may compile successfully creating the dot class file. So you are creating the dot java file. After compilation it will create dot class file, but may not run properly. Here it is suggesting it doesn't works properly. Why it doesn't works properly? Because of some logical mistakes in your program. You have made logical mistakes. Such programs may produce wrong result due to wrong logic or may terminate due to errors. So if you made logical mistakes, it will compile successfully, but while running you are getting an improper output. Okay, now we will see what are the logical errors we are having. Dividing on integer by 0. Okay, now what is dividing on integer by 0? Let me see. 0 by something, 0 by something, 0 something by 0, it is infinity, right? As general terms, as we know, something by 0 is infinity. It is not shown in your computer system. It is automatically treated as an runtime errors. Okay, accessing an element that is out of a bound of an array. For example, you have declared the array size as 5. Can you access the sixth location value? No. So if you try to access, then it will give as a logical error. Okay, trying to store a value into an array of an incompatible class or type. For example, you have declared the array variable as a integer. Can you store float value? No. Right? Can you store string value? No. It is an incompatible type. Right, even if it is stored, it will it will display improper output. So that is the runtime error. Trying to cast an instance of a class to one of its subclass. So you are trying to cast means displaying. What you are displaying? Instance of a class. Instance of a class means object, right? Object of one to its subclass. So improper access, we can say it as an improper accessing. Okay, if you try to access improperly, then it gives a logical error. Passing a parameter that is not in a valid range or a value for a method. So whatever the parameter you are supplying to your methods, it may be not in a valid range. Okay, if it is not in a valid range, then it is also gives a logical error. Trying to illegally change the state of a thread. Now we will going to be learning this concept of thread. As we know, what is a thread? Lightweight process, right? So if you try to change that thread, it causes an error. Attempting to use a negative size of an array. So if you want to access a negative value of a array size, then it gives an error. Where does the array starts? 0. If you try to access -1, it is not possible. Okay, as you are familiar with underflow as well as overflow. Right. Using a null object reference as a legitimate object reference to access method or a variable. Likewise, converting invalid string to a number. If you try to convert a string to a number, it is also gives an a logical error. Accessing a character that is out of bound of a string. In a string, if you want to access a character, if it is not exist, that is also causes an errors. Okay. Yes. Let me see one sample example. Here one sample example is given. I hope it is visible, even though let me make two. Class error2. What is the name of our class? Error2. Now what you are defining? Main method. In the main method, you are opening curly braces and closing curly braces are there. You are declaring the variables. What is the variable? A, B, C. In A you have stored 10, B it is a 5 and C it is 5. Now you are processing. Int x is equal to A by B minus C. Okay. Clear? What is the value? 10. 10 by 5 minus 5. 5 minus 5, 0. Something by 0, division by 0 error. Already I noted. Okay. If you try to display the x value, it will give as an error. Okay. Int y is equal to a by b plus c. Now what is the value of y? Sorry, a 10. What is the value of b? 5. What is the value of c? 5. 5 plus 5, 10. 10 by 10, 1. So it will display the correct value of y is 1 and it is given as an error. So for your understanding purpose, let me copy this program and let me explain. Okay. I think it is better you just understand this program. I'm copying this program. Now I have taken a notepad. Please observe here notepad plus plus. You can also access this notepad plus plus. Okay, let me type notepad plus plus. Is not having. Okay, let me take here. I'm clicking. Let me check here whether notepad plus plus is exist or not. Where is n m? Netflix is there. Not available, right? Okay, anyhow, I will open my PC. Let me check in C drive. Is there any folder relevant to notepad? Not is there. I have already installed. Let me check your program files x86. Here let me check n. Not there, right? I installed, but where it is? Let me check notepad. Let me type here NOTE notepad plus plus. It is not showing. Why it is showing only the notepad? Let me check where I have installed. Whether it is in E drive. E drive is not there, and G drive. G drive is also not there, and where I stored already installed. It is not showing now. Yes, let me take program files. Whether it consists. No. Right. Let me take a program files 86. Is not there. Let me check once again. I'm clicking on this. Let me see carefully. Not showing. Okay, you can then Notepad plus plus. Check once again. Okay, I will explain you. No problem. Even if it is a time consuming, we can go for it. Here you are seeing one more is there Sublime text editor, so you can make the usage of this, but it is not a free version. We have to pay for it. Okay, you can use this also, but I already installed. Let me check once again. I will install Notepad plus plus. Okay, please observe here. Already inserted my product. Here it consists of Notepad plus plus portable. I'm double clicking. It is a free version. Why I'm using the Notepad plus plus to rectify? Otherwise we have to count, right? We have to count our errors. So it has stored already in F drive. In my drive only it has stored. So, okay, so let me make this will be available in PC. Okay, it should be in C drive. Let me make it is in a C drive. Okay, install. Don't feel it is a time consuming, but it is a necessary. I am taking run Notepad plus plus portable finish. Now let me close this. It is opening, right? So all this is for your understanding purpose. So this is your Notepad plus plus editor. Through from this editor I can access any information, right? So now I have copied. I hope it is visibling, right? Yes. So that is the advantages of Notepad plus plus. Here I am thinking it is a double quotation is mistake, so I am modifying here. Okay, so here you are observing the line numbers. Clear? Yes. If you are having Notepad plus plus, you can make the usage, right? Afterwards we have to save this file. I'm copying, and where we have to supposed to save, we have to save option. You have to ensure that, okay, you have to ensure that you are storing in proper location. So where we have to supposed to store, we have to supposed to store in C drive. In C drive, where is JDK 1.4 is exist? Yes, this is JDK 1.4. In this we have to ensure that bin folder, and you have to give the name. So what is the name of a file? error2.java. okay, no caps, it is a small. Okay, yes, save it. Clear? Yes, now I'm reducing this zoom option. Now I'm taking my command prompt cmd. Once you understand this concept, then I don't want to explain. Yes, we have to log in into JDK 1.4/bin. Now compiling Java C, error2.java, Java. So it is having one mistake here. It is the comma is missed, right? So I'm coming here, I'm giving the comma, yes, and I'm saving now, and coming here and I'm pressing, right? Now it is fine. I'm running now Java error 2. Yes, it is showing. Okay, what is the error? It is showing exception in thread main Java dot. Please observe here, this is a very important question. Which kind of an exception it is? Java dot lang dot arithmetic exception, that is by 0. Okay, by 0. Clear? So hence it is giving an error, and hence it is not displaying. Okay, in the place it is not displaying, that becomes an error. So let me add packages. It is always better to add built-in packages. Import java dot lang dot string dot star and import. Okay, just import java dot io dot star. I'm using. Now let me give here throws exception, right? Let me save it. Once again come here and once again compile it. I'm compiling. It is showing an error, class error 2 semicolon is expected in line number 3. Please observe here where we made a mistake here, right? I'm saving, I'm compiling. Okay, yes, compile. No error. Running, while running it is showing that exception. Got it? So in the line number 6 it is consist of exception, hence it doesn't give. Okay, clear? So it is showing as a logical error, hence this output won't comes. If it is a won't comes, then this it won't allow you to get this result. Okay, for example, if I want to get this result, I will cut this option here and I will first made this option. Let me check. I didn't check in front of you, only I'm checking. I'm saving and come here and compile it. Once again let me compile and I'm running. So it is showing y value and afterwards it is showing as an exception. Got it? So this is an error. This error means logical error. So in your program it consists of these kinds of a logical error. Which kind of a logical error it is? Division by 0 is an arithmetic exception. Okay, it is an arithmetic exception. Division by 0 errors are arithmetic exception. Okay, so that is the thing here explained. Now we will see what is actually exception. Please observe here. Now it is not an error, it is an exception. Now we will see what is an exception. The purpose of exception handling mechanism is to provide a means to detect and report an exceptional circumstance so that appropriate action can be taken. Here the purpose exception question, this question is asked for 2 marks. Very careful. Okay, exception purpose. The purpose of exception handling mechanism is to provide the means to detect and report an exceptional circumstances. What is the mistake happens? Okay, what is the mistake? Not as an error, it is mistakes. Okay, so that appropriate action has to be taken. What are the precautions we have to supposed to follow whenever the mistakes happen? The mechanism suggests incorporation of a separate error handling code that performs the following task. So it can perform the following task is suggesting in that mechanism. Let me see, by using this exception you can find the problem. First you have to find the problem. To finding that problem, I'm saying it is the exception. Inform that an error has occurred. So this kind of a mistake has happened, we have to supposed to use. For that I'm using the throw the exception. First we have to find the exception, we have to inform that this kind of an error has happened through the exception, and receives that error has occurred. By using the catch block, I'm receiving this kind of exception as problem as identified. Okay, take corrective action and next you can handle that exception. Okay, first find the problem, pass the following information, it has to receive that errors and you have to give the correctness. So for this we are using some keywords: hit, through, catch and handle. Okay, the error handling code basically consists of 2 segments, one to detect error and 2 throw exception, and the other to catch exceptions and throws exception object. Okay, so to understand this better concept, let me see. We are using try catch block. Already you are familiar in your VB.NET, and all the implementation code you have placed in try block, and whatever the mistakes errors occurred, it will be catched by the catch block, right? Here try catch block is exist in the try block. So you are writing the implementation code. If any code mistake is happens, it will be passed to the catch block. The catch block identifies the particular errors and inform to the developer. informing to the user. Okay, so likewise this try catch block will evaluate. And next, exception hierarchy. Let me see what are the exception hierarchy. In Java, all exceptions are represented by class. Whatever the exceptions are arising, it will be represented in the form of a class. What is a class? Class is a user defined data types where it consists of a data and methods and also a instance of a class, right? It also consists instances, right? Objects. All exception classes are derived from class called throwable. So from which class I am accessing all the exceptions? Through from the class throwable. Thus when an exception occur in a program, an object of some type of exception class is generated. When any errors are occur in your program, then some types of objects are generated through from that classes. Okay, there are two direct subclasses of throwable: exception and error. So we know all the exceptions will arise from the throwable class. It consists of two direct subclasses. That throwable class consists of two subclasses. What are those two subclasses? One is exception and another one is error. Okay, exception of a type error are related to errors that occur in Java virtual itself, Java virtual machine itself, and not in your program. Please observe, if error in the sense means it is not your program mistakes. Okay, error means it is happening in the softwares. Okay, so in the Java virtual machine, if consists of any errors, then it is not related to your program, it is related to you the softwares. These types of exceptions are behind your control and your program will not usually deal with them. So software errors are not your errors. Software errors are software errors that doesn't control your program, that is behind the control of your programs. Usually we are unable to deal with them. Okay, errors that result from the program activity are represented by subclass of exception. Whatever the errors come from your program, that can be actively identified by the which class? Exception class. Okay, yes, exception classes can deal with your program errors, your program mistakes, but software programs cannot be identified with your exception classes. They can be deal with error classes. Okay, for example, divided by 0, array boundary and file errors fall into this category. So if you are making a mistakes in your program, then that can be easily caught by exception classes, that can be easily catched by exception classes. In general, your program should handle exceptions of these types, so it will deal with exceptions of these types. An important subclass of exception is runtime exceptions. So as we know, important subclass of exceptions are runtime exception, which is used to represent various common types of runtime errors. So it has to supposed to provide different kinds of runtimes errors in your program, not in a errors in a software. Error in the sense here the mistakes. Okay, please observe here. Exception is a mechanism to identifying the mistakes, not as in a program, sorry, software mistakes. Okay, now let us see exception fundamentals. Java exception handling is managed through 5 keywords. So if we want to handle exception handling mechanism in Java, we have to use these 5 keywords. What are those 5 keywords? Try, catch, throw, throws, and finally. So what are the 5 keywords? Try, already you are familiar with try catch, right, in your VB.NET. Now you are learning throw, throws, and finally. Finally is also you are familiar. Try catch, finally you have learned in your VB.NET. Here two more is coming, that is throw and throws. You have to supposed to learn. Yes, they form an interrelated subsystem in which the use of one implies the use of another. So they are communicating with one each other classes and helps in identifying the errors. Program statement that you want to monitor for exception are contained within a try block. So what you are suggesting, if you are using the try catch block, whatever the code you are developing, that code must be in the try block. Implementation code must be in the try block. If any exception has occurred, it will be monitored and it will be sent it to the catch block. Okay, if an exception occurs within the try block, it is thrown. So if any mistakes has happened in the try block, it will be sent to the some other blocks. That block is a catch block. Okay, your code can catch this exception using catch and handle it in some rational manner. So whatever the mistakes has happened in your try block, it will be catched by the catch block and it will generate runtime errors and giving these kinds of errors has happened in your program. To manually throw an exception, use the keyword. So that is the mechanism of a try catch block. You are using automatically it identifies. So if you want to do the manual throw of an exception, you have to identify manually. You have to create your own exception. Manual means we have to generate, right? We have to create, we have to identify, we have to test. To do that, we are going to be using the keyword throw. In some cases, an exception that is thrown out of a method must be specified, such as throws class. So these manual creation classes must be specified in a class and those method has to be used. Any code that absolutely must be executed upon existing from a try block is put in a finally block. So here it comes, try catch block, try catch finally. So in the try block you are having the code, whatever the mistakes is happened, it will come to the catch block and it will be rectified, and finally you are placing the finally statements. Finally block will executed rather than this try catch block after the rectifying all your try catch block. Okay. And so for the throw and throws is used for manual exceptions. Okay, to find the manual exceptions, you to define user defined exceptions. Yes, now our concept is using try and catch. At the core of exception handling or try catch exception, these keywords work together. You can't have a catch without a try. Yes, as we are familiar that try catch block, in the try block, this try catch block is one relevant to each other. No try block is exist with catch block, or no catch block is exist with try block. Minimum one try must is required. There may exist multiple catch block. Okay, this question is asked, so we have to supposed to give more attention. Okay, here the try block is exist in the catch, exception block is exist in the exception. You are specifying the exception types of this object. So this is the class and you are specifying the object of this class. Okay, exception type is the name of the class and you are passing the parameter is the object of this class. Okay, so here it is the same thing, it is represented here. So this is try block and catch block 1, catch block 2, catch block 3, catch block 4, catch block 5. Why I am using multiple catch blocks means we do not know what kind of an error exists in your program. It may be arithmetic or array or file or any other information. So that's why we are going to be using one try block with multiple catch block. One try block with multiple catch block. Okay, so that is the important concept. For 6 to 8 marks it has been asked. We will see now this same program. Now let us see what is the program. Okay, so what is the name of the class? Error check. Now you are defining the main method, public static void main string args. Now you are defining the variables, a is equal to 20, b is equal to 10, c is equal to 10, int x gamma y. In try block you are processing some information. What is you are processing? X is equal to a by b minus c. What is a? 20. 20 by 10 minus 10, 0. Something by 0, infinity. It immediately catches a error. So which error it is? It is arithmetic exception. As we know, in the last example we have run that example and we came to know it is an arithmetic exception, right? So it is catching that arithmetic exception and e. So as we know, it is an division by 0. Division by 0 is an arithmetic exception. It will be stored in your E. So system.out.println, you are displaying division by 0 error. You are displaying division by 0 error. Suppose if you do not know which kind of an error it is, if you just give as an E, okay, just you give the E, it will show system error, system specified error. Got it? You will came to know what is that error. Okay, and now I'm writing y is equal to a by b plus c, and here it will show the value of y is 1. Y, a value is 20, b plus c is a 1. So this is a last we have executed. In the last program it has not shown. Here it will show. It will execute this program as well as this program. So to understanding this better concept, let me copy. Okay, this is our program, right? Let me copy. I'm copying this program. Already our notepad is there. I'm taking new file and I'm pasting. So after pasting that, the double quotations are all, you have ensure it is a proper, and I'm storing with error check. And before that, it is always better import java.io .star and import java sy, because we have given right java.lang.star. okay, so it is always better to write these two packages. If you don't write, then it will become a problem. Okay, now I'm saving this file. We have to save this file in jdk bin folder. I'm saving it with errorcheck.java. okay, so I'm ensuring that I'm storing in the right path. So for your sake, see, in jdk 1.4 I'm saving it as a errorcheck.java. okay, clear? Yes, I'm saving, and move this magnifier. I'm opening my editor, right? So in the last example we have identified this is a system notification of an error. Which kind of an error, right? So now I'm running the program java check error, right? Check error.java. What is the name of the class? Error check.java. okay, sorry, java c error check.java. This is our program. We do not have any errors. Java, I'm running now, java error check. So it is first giving as a division by 0 error, but in the last program it is showing your system errors. okay, so which kind of error it is? It is like this. okay, yes, so the value of y is 1. clear? So like it will execute. okay, now one more program is there. You just go through it, you came to know what it is. Now please observe demonstration exception handling class. What is the name of the class? exe demo 1. exe demo 1. Here we are having the main method. Afterwards I'm creating the array variable, right? Int nums is equal to new int of 4 means what is the size of nums? 4. Now I'm writing try catch block. In the try block, first I'm writing one output statement. It indicates before exception is generated, before the exception what it is generating. okay, now what is the size of an array? 4. Now you are trying to access out of the bound of an array. You are trying to access the out of bound of an array, that is num of 7 is equal to 10. You are trying to assigning. Please observe here in comment itself is there, generate an index out of bound of exception. Generates an index out of bound of exception. Attempt to index past nums boundary, because the array size is only declared 4, but you are trying to accessing outside of the bound, and it will give exception. This won't be displayed, this won't be executed, right? Here the try block is finished. In the catch block already we know what is an error. I will type. So here I am specifying array index out of bound exception, array index out of bound exception, exe, it is a object, and you are writing index out of bounds, so it will immediately gives index array out of bound exception, and afterwards whatever the statement you have specified, it will be displayed after catch statement. So if you try to execute this program, it will give before exception is generated, next it will give index out of bounds, and after catch statement. Got it? So why it is giving like this? Because you have declared the size of an array is 4 and you are trying to access the out of bound value. Okay, so these are the kinds of an errors it will be happens in your program. Now the consequence of uncaught exceptions, let us see this topic, catching one of a Java's standard exception as the preceding program does, as let me close here, as a side benefits. So in the last program we are identifying some exceptions. These kinds of programs will help the certain benefits. It prevents abnormal program termination. So it prevents abnormal means improper outputs, right? Improper outputs termination is also possible. When an exception is thrown, it must be caught by some piece of code. Whenever an error is occurred, it has to be catch. Okay, it has to supposed to catch. In general, if your program does not catch an exception, then it will be caught by the JVM. If your program also it consists of errors, if it is not catched by some of keywords, then it will be immediately catched by your Java virtual machine. Okay, the trouble is that Java virtual machine default exception handler terminates execution and display a stack trace and error message. So then what is the problem we are getting? So you are identifying here, please observe. So it will show the errors like this. Okay, it will show the error like this. Now we have to identify what is this an exception. This exception is generated by JVM machine. Okay, your first program, this first program is identified. For example, here see we have made a mistake, we do not have a file name, right? But if you try to execute that, it will show some errors like this: no class found, no class definition found, errors. Why? Because we have not created check error. What we have created? Error check. Clear? So these kinds of JVM errors are executables, hence we should know our errors. For example, in this version of a preceding example, the index out of a bound exception is not caught by the program. So if you see here, index out of a bound of exception is not catch. Okay, it has catched by your errors, JVM. So for example, if you don't write try catch block in your program, in this preceding example, it will show the JVM errors. So we are modifying that program with class not handled, with the class not handled. Now we will see here main method, it consists of nums and the num array variable, you are creating the size as 4, right? Now you are displaying system.out.println before exception is generated, generate an index out of bound exception, nums of 7 is equal to 10. Here already we know it is an error, right? We have not specified any try catch block. If you try to execute this program, then we know it is having an error, right? It is having an exceptions, right? So that exception is catching by your JVM. So then after catching that, what will show? It will show exception in thread main java.lang.array index of bound exception, java.lang.array index out of bound exception at not handled. So it is showing the line number. Where is the line number? Okay, this is the line number 9. Please observe here. Maybe 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Maybe here. After the class only it is considering 1 2 3 4 5. Sorry, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9. Here it is showing that errors. Got it? So the line number is also showing. Okay, So if you try to execute these kinds of error without using error handling mechanism, it will generate JVM errors, and these JVM errors, it is a difficulty to identify. Okay, as now you are the programmer, you came to know what is this an error. As a end user, they do not know what it exactly it is. Okay, now you are the programmers, you came to know this is this much of an error, right? If an end user if he get these kinds of a message, then he can make head or tail. Okay, yes. So that is our program, and now we will see multiple catch statements. As we know, in your program there may exist many one try block and multiple catch block. Why we are writing multiple catch block? We do not know various kinds of error may exist in your try block, right? Already we are familiar with some of errors, runtime errors. In runtime errors there may exist. For better understanding, you can concentrate this program. Yes, you can associate more than one catch with a try. In fact, it is common to do so. However, each catch must catch a different types of exception. Each catch, you are writing different catch means that different catch will catch us different types of errors in your program. To understanding that, you will see here. Okay, let us see what is the name of the class. It is whether it is visible. Okay, let me make a visible. Okay, what is the name of the class? Exe demo 4. Here it consists of a main method. Here we are declaring two array variable. Okay, what is the name of the array variable? Number and denom, right? Now observe, here we have initialized the value. Now 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Why? I'm choosing the length of this number. The length of this number is 8 and denom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The length of a denom is 6. Now I am writing one for loop. For int I is equal to 0, I less than number dot length. What is the number dot length? 8. Condition is true. I am writing the try catch block. In the try catch block, while displaying I am processing. While displaying I am processing. Please observe here. Number of I, what is number of I? 0. Number of 0 value is 4 plus by, as it is displaying plus denom of 0. Denom of 0 is 2. Is, now you are processing 4 by 2. It will give the value, right? What is the 4 by 2? It is 2, right? 8 by 0 possible. 16 by 4 possible. 32 by 4 possible. Whether 8 by 0 is possible, it will give an exception, right? Something by 0 is error, right? Got it? So whenever the I value is incremented, I become 1, number of 1 is 8 and denominator of 1 is 0, and if you process this, it will give an arithmetic exception. Immediately it will catch the catch block and display count divided by 0. Afterwards I will be incremented. Now I become 6 2 in the 2 location, it is a 16. Here it is a 4, it is possible. 32 by 4 is possible. 64 by 0, it is giving an arithmetic exception. 120 by 8, it is possible. Next, 256 by array out of bound, right? If array out of bound, it will give here another catch block. We have written array index out of bound exception. So whenever you try to do like this, 4 by 2 is 0 and 8 by 0 is count divided by 0. 16 by 4, 16 by 4 is 4, 32 by 4 is 8 is possible, and 64 by 0 is can't divided by 0, and 128 by 8 is also possible, and 256 by nothing. So it is giving array index out of a bound exception. In that place, it immediately gives no matching element. It doesn't display this. Got it? So here you are seeing the output. Got it? No matching found, because here you are supplying the value. What is the value? That 0 1 0 1 2 3 4 5 5 0 1 2 3 4 5. Afterwards 6, right? 6, number of 6 by, there is array out of bound of denom of 6. If you are accessing the denom of 6, there is array out of bound, and it will be immediately sent the error message to the next catch block. It is identifying and it is displaying as no matching element found. Okay, so likewise your programs are executing. Hope you have understand this concept. We will continue in the next class.